It's like the alarm clock going off. But instead of waking up from sleeping, I was waking up from sleeping on my emotions.
So now you're reacting to the 5-member K-band called Day6. First I'll react to their November 2017 release called All Alone. Okay, so anyways, in this music video,
I did.
They have flashbacks to a love story that actually took place in the 3 music videos before this one. One of the main characters of the story, Sungjin, falls for a girl who ended up developing feelings for a different guy. At the beginning of All Alone, the singer puts on a mask and says, "I'm not lonely. I say to the night sky without any strength, I'm okay today." But as the song continues, they admit that they are lonely and hope that the person they are looking for to comfort them is also looking at the night sky with them.
Aww.
The song is composed by songwriter
Hong Chi-sang.
and the Day6 members Sungjin, Wonpil, Jae, and Younghae.
Oh, that's so sad. This reminds me of the Schubert song called Loneliness. Einsamkeit.
This better have me crying up in the club. All right. 31.
Ooh, we got that like old time film effect. That's flashback central.
I just want to point out, everyone in this band is beautiful.
Wow. He's got a nice light head voice.
I like that it begins with a major 11 chord. At least I think he does. He plays a D chord with G in the bass. That's not what that is. That's so interesting.
Cool. Second
Beautiful
voice.
harmonies, yeah. I would say they're floaty. Floaty.
It sounds like counterpoint species. You know what the resolutions and the harmony, the dissonances? Do you remember this? Theory 101?
Yeah.
Oh, I actually play the glockenspiel. That's wonderful.
Listen for that vocal harmony. Yeah, that's creamy. That's nice.
And such a great synthesis of harmony, the glockenspiel line, and the relatively simple vocal line.
It's like an andante, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like taking a walk while you think about your girl.
They don't feel the need to up the ante. They just take it back to verse 1, the same soundscape, which I really like.
Oh wow, he's got
a really interesting voice.
bright, clear tone. It's kind of nasal, but it stands out from the others. It's cool. It adds good variety. Yeah.
That's C dominant. That C11 chord to F sharp 7 minor is pretty impressive.
What?
Bruh, it's not nice.
I like panning back to this little fence post guitar, like little band mix up. It's a nice thing to go back to. It feels very home.
I love that. I'm not gonna lie to you. You hang out on 1, and then you played 1/7, and then you go to 4, and then minor 4, and then back to 1. It's all pop music in the world, but I'm not gonna lie, it slaps. I put it in many of my songs.
It's a really clear, resonant belt as well.
Yes.
His voice sounds like a violin.
Oh yeah, with like
Why?
the consistency.
Oh man, that frame is so sad at the end because they're like all on frame and they're so small and they're together but they're alone. It was really sweet. Like I feel like whenever you get like the acoustic guitar, the like shaker, and then when you add in things like 7th and 9th chords, there's always just that like little bit of dissonance happening.
Yeah,
you
a little bit of color.
Yeah, that makes it just like that much more like, you know.
The one guy had a voice that sounds like a violin.
That's Sunjin.
Sunjin. It was nice.
Everything was kind of simple. They kept it simple. And then there were those like counterpoint species sort of things going on where there's like those dissonances and those resolutions between two different voices, especially early on in this piece.
This song really appeals to like the simplicity and like the comfiness that like we feel inside, like with the percussion and the xylophone and like the shaker. Like the xylophone sounds like every cute like indie song ever. I don't know, it just kind of like they played on tropes that are ingrained in us.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Using happy music with sad lyrics or sad meaning.
Wasn't happy music though, just major.
I mean, if I didn't have the lyrics, I would say it's a relatively cheery song. But I think, you know, in movies that's, you know, done a lot, like in horror movies, they'll play like happy music alongside like horrible visuals. And that's like a good technique to use to really like highlight the cruelty of it all, so to speak. But I think in this context, it's really smart because I'm going to go to the metaphors again because I always go to the metaphors. But like loneliness is something that many people feel exclusively like within their own psyches. And a lot of time people will put up the front and the face that they're fine. And they'll have day-to-day interactions with people when that can be cheery when in reality they're really depressed and no one else knows until they speak up or until something bad happens. So I think like in that way, this like the cheeriness to me was a perfect way to kind of encapsulate that.
Okay, so we associate major with being happy and like minor keys with being sad. Upbeat music in minor is always like super lit. Like a lot of K-pop does that, where it's just like, yeah, let's party, but it's in minor. And then like sad music in major is just like so sad. Like you're just like, oh my God, my heart is broken. And I'm listening to some major chords. So like that was one of those.
This song is called I Need Somebody and is a B-side released in October 2017.
You know
This song
that I could
illustrates the pain we feel when we're
somebody.
alone and surrounded by people. Even though there are so many people around us, no one is there who accepts us for who we are, and we long to have that type of person.
Oh.
The song is composed by Mr. Cho, Jae Do-gi, and the Day6 member Young K.
This is like the difference between the words alone and lonely. Okay, it sounds like this is gonna be very deep. Okay, we'll have to wind down and count 2. 2, 1. Oh.
I like how the echo of the piano has its own beat.
Okay, I enjoy the like soft triplet echoes in the piano. It's like a sigh fading away.
Ooh. What is the meter? Help me. But like, is it in 3 or is it in 4? And
It's
there's
in
like
4. It's just in
hemiola.
3-3-2. Yeah.
I really like how their voices stand out. You know, they're not too different, but you can definitely tell who's
When they
singing.
go through the slow notes on the piano, they're just like,
You just like anything bass.
that was cool. Young K's voice is so like, it's the first non-soft textured thing in the song.
Yeah.
It was like
Texturally intense, yeah.
It's like the alarm clock going off. But instead of waking up from sleeping, I was waking up from sleeping on my emotions.
Ooh,
whew.
that's profound.
Ooh, yeah, the second time the hello, the beat is placed a little differently. First one, hello. Second time, hello. It's a nice guitar line.
Ooh, hello.
It's like he's yelling at me. I'm sorry you're alone.
Young K is like powerhouse.
That's good. They use the falsetto really, really nicely. Oh, that shift between belt and back into falsetto. Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh. It sounds like Beethoven or something like.
See, Young K sounds chill, but he's really not, because that guitar represents his inner like. And then it's gonna come back. He's gonna slice right through right now.
Big distortion. Big delay. Oh, coming in on 2. That's a nice drum fill. Which of them plays drums? Huh? He's a good drummer.
Yeah, even that drum fill, which I think is very well placed, it feels a little empty.
That's like a complicated electric guitar solo. Like it's like doing stuff. That's a lot of notes. Nice.
Yeah, it was interesting. So Young K and Sung Jin were both kind of like the belters in the song. Like they frequently like went up and did the like power belting, which is the moment where you were like, and it was interesting because like to my ear, their tones, like sonically, they sounded similar when they were both singing in that like upper belt register, but the colors and the timbres were different. And then conversely, Wonpil and Jay were sort of the ones who kind of like took over the softer, lower register. And the other thing is they harmonized in pairs as well. So I think they understand who sings well blending wise as pairs, and they pair them together. And then they also delegate like different parts of the song depending on what their strengths are.
I liked the militaristic beat that just happened in the middle of nowhere for like 5 seconds and had the whistling. And I'm all about the sounds. So like I'm very impressed with how they're able to just throw in stuff, but it not derail the whole idea of the piece.
It was like a very strange even character interruption, which otherwise is like very homogeneous texture and character throughout. That was like the most notable thing in the sense that it just interrupted everything, you know? You're like,
you know what else interrupted everything?
You know?
Young K with his right off the bat from the beginning. I was like, I have to feel more emotions now.
So what was up with, what do you think of the whistling section?
A little bit misplaced, slightly. It kind of depends on how they experience loneliness and how they interpret it. I really like the beginning because there's that aspect of when you're lonely, and then represented in music, you usually have texture that sits below in volume or in register, and then you have just one little figment, which is your voice, or in this case it's a piano with a lot of reverb, flying out from the texture and standing out. It's very good to have that because it sets the loneliness, and then that's when you can start spiraling to whatever emotion you want, because loneliness, for instance, if you stay in it, you might get more frustrated. I totally get the whole the rougher, rash section of this song, but I guess the whistle was a bit weird because I would never see myself whistling before.
With the snare too, is like ting, ting, ting.
Yeah, maybe it's something I don't understand because I don't experience loneliness or frustration in that same manner.
Actually, with you explaining that, I think I understood what they're going for in this, because the snare drum feels like a march, and I think that section is supposed to be the protagonist of this song marching along to and pretending to be happy.
Trudging.
That's why he's whistling. But yeah. I think if that's the case, it would have been better if the section were twice as long. It felt like it was just interrupted. And I get what they were going for. It's like, oh shit, I'm alone. I get it. It's like that sudden outburst.
Yeah.
But still, for a first listen, it still hit me in a sudden way where I didn't feel like I even got a grasp of that emotion yet.
So do you guys prefer All Alone or I Need Somebody?
All Alone was the opposite of this in many ways because it felt like it was this one atmosphere and they didn't feel like they needed to do anything else. They had a vision and they kind of just went for it. When here, it feels like they had this giant buffet of stuff. It was a little bit like that.
I think I can't say which I like better because they're just different like emotions. Like it's the same emotion, which is like sad, lonely. All Alone is like just like I'm so sad, and then like I Need Somebody is like I'm so sad, and like those are just like different.
All Alone is more relatable, especially in like I'm gonna talk about like meaning again, but you'll rarely see people like straight up like bawling and wailing like openly, just like why am I alone? Like people won't do that. They'll put up a front, and so I think in terms of like getting to the listener and affecting them and making them feel emotion, I think All Alone is maybe a little more effective because it just kind of mirrors what most people do today. But at the same time, you could argue that people today who don't actively, communicate how sad they are need to hear a song like I Need Somebody. That like you could argue that that's also their way of like getting out the grief, is like listening to the song and maybe singing along or something like that.
Yeah, I think there's something like really cathartic about like singing really loud to like some music that's sad, and I feel like we need to hear like more shouty sad songs and not just like
It was
I think
great.
it's healthy. I like his voice a lot.
Me too.
Which one is his?
All of them.
Wait, were there different people singing?